So hi guys, this is the third video of that particular Linux series, and the main motto of this video is to discuss the things like, let me give you the agenda of this particular video is like the architecture of operating system, or you can say the Linux operating system. Second is like why why we are using Linux as operating system, and what are the features that Linux provide as an operating system. Third is like access the ways to access the operating system. So let me start with this topic only. So as you all know, user is interacting with the operating system. Why user is interacting with the operating system? The one and only use case to interact with the operating system is to run some app, or like run some program. And why we are like if we want to run this particular application or program, we can directly, as I told, we can run on RAM and CPU. So we can directly run on RAM and CPU also. Then why we are using operating system, that I already answered in the last video. That is the second video of this channel. So as let me tell you why not. Only in a single line we can say is we don't know the language of RAM CPU, how to connect with them, or what is the language of RAM CPU, we don't understand. That's why we need some third middleman, that is here the operating system, that knows how to take our program, take our application to the RAM and CPU to make it executable or to make it run so that we can use. So that is the only one in the whole use case to use the operating system, that is running some particular application or program. Now to connect with operating system, there are two ways we can say, that is GUI and CLI, mainly these two ways. So GUI is like graphical user interface. CLI is like command line interface. Now the Windows will give us the both of the facility, and Linux. So as we installed our Linux rel, there I selected you one option is called server with GUI, if you remember in the very first video. So why the server with GUI means, so I want both the ways to access that particular rel or particular operating system, that is graphically also and command line also. Now what is the difference between both of them is, in the graphically you can use your mouse to interact with the programs, or to run the programs, to run the files, or to create files or create directories or folder. In CLI there is no mouse option. So in CLI you need to run command to do every task. Like when you want to create folder, you need to run some command. You need to read file or create a file, you need to run a command. Then you want to open a Firefox, there is also one command. And to, like what I say is like to check the calendar, you want to check the calendar, there is another command in the Linux. There is no option to mouse, like to check go with the mouse. So as you can see, this is Windows, and there is a mouse. I can interact with this multiple programs. Like I want to open my Firefox, so I'm searching and I'm clicking with mouse. So Firefox is getting open. And if you want to open some any other program, you can like go. You want to open the notepad. I'm using this mouse and like opening with this mouse. You want to check the calendar. I'm going here. I'm clicking on this. So yeah, calendar is getting open. Now Windows also provides us both the ways. Like command line you want to interact, so there you can suggest like command prompt. So this command prompt is like provided by Windows. So you can interact with Windows as a user with the particular operating system with the commands also. Like I want to check the date. So I'm writing the command. So it's showing the current date is this. So I don't want to enter the new dates. I'm like I don't want to enter. Yep. And let's say you want to create new file. So same way as you open the notepad with the mouse, you can open the notepad with the command also. See, I just click on this, I just type that command called notepad and it's automatically open the notepad for me without using any mouse. Let me show it to you again. Notepad. See, it's opening automatically. So as you see, like everything what we are doing with the graphically with the mouse, we can everything we can achieve with the commands and everything. So there is two ways to connect with the things. So one is GUI and CLI. Now the option second topic comes is like why Linux, why we are using Linux. So to use a Linux, there are multiple features, or I can say multiple things we can consider. First thing is like it's open source. Now, what is the meaning of open source? Is it's like so. Let me tell you. So Windows is a closed source. That means if you want to see the code, like how window is created or how the uh, program for Windows is created, you can't able to see. You can't able to go inside that particular code and check like how Windows is created, how Windows is developed. That is a closed source. Now Linux is open source. Open source means you can check everything, you can research on the things, you can learn the things with reading the files, like how Linux is generated, how the program inside that particular OS or how the things are generated, you can read by them and like you can research and you can learn the things by reading those programs. So one of the cool example of this is in Windows, there is one browser called Firefox. So that is also comes installed with Windows, or we can install also. That's come also as a closed source. That means the icon of Firefox you can't change because you can't able to read that particular Firefox program file. But in Linux, open source means you can go to the program file of Firefox. If you know the bash script, you can read the file, you can change the logo of Firefox also. Or I can say you can make your photo as logo of Firefox in Linux. That is a one feature of Linux. I can say open source. Like openly the code is available. Openly the things you can read, you can research, you can learn by them. Another of very good example of Linux is it's like multi-user. Now, what is the meaning of multi-user? It's let's say two users are created in your system, Ram and like Sham. So at a single time, you can log in to both the users and you can perform different tasks. Like Ram is surfing on Chrome. At the same time, on the same single OS, Sham is surfing on Firefox. So I will show you this demo and upcoming video, like what is the meaning of multi-user and how we can achieve this feature multi-user. Third is like multi-programming or multitasking. So at a single time, you can perform multiple tasks like you can doing editing, you are creating some video, you are creating some editing, you are surfing on Chrome. So this all you can perform simultaneously. And how it's possible? Because kernel is managing our memory. Kernel is managing our process. Kernel is managing our devices, like how much space is given need to be given to particular this different processor, different program, how much CPU we need to assign to them particular specifically individual programs. So that's all possible with the kernel. And there are multiple more uses of Linux also. One of the uses like I can say it is providing us a shell. So what is shell? I am gonna explain you the just upcoming next video. But shell you can think is like the Windows command prompt. So it's like a program that Linux is giving to us. So using that we can run the commands. Even though we don't need to use mouse and everything, we can achieve everything by typing a commands. Now the next topic we can discuss is the Linux OS architecture, we can say. So this is the you can assume like your laptop down to under the hood of is like the hardwares. Hardware is, you can think of like RAM, CPU, hard disk, everything. On the top of hardware, you install your operating system, that is RHEL. Now here on the top of this, there are kernel modules, we can say. Now what kernel modules are, I'm gonna explain in just next 1 or 2 minutes. On the top of kernel module, there are like kernel. On the top of kernel, you can think of like there is a shell, and on the top of shell, you can think of like application, or you can say like utilities. And here is the user, like we. So we are interacting with this particular application or utilities with the help of this operating system, because directly we can't access other resources. Now, what is the meaning of kernel? I already explained you in the last video. So kernel is like a heart of a operating system. It will perform multiple tasks like device management, process management, memory management, input output devices, connections, everything like kernel can manage. Now, what are the kernel objects? So kernel objects are like program files. It's like normal files, you can say. Those are developed in some programming language like C++. So these are like program files. And now what is the use of this kernel objects is you can increase the, or I can say like kernel is come with some features. Kernel with come some features that I discuss you like process management and everything. So this is the use of kernel. Now, if you want, the kernel can perform some more tasks for you. Like in mobile, by default, it come only Play Store. But you want now to increase the features of your mobile, then will you go to the Play Store and like install the multiple applications. Same way, operating system will come with some default things like kernel. And if you want to increase the features on other things of it, you will install applications. Here you will install or plug kernel modules to make it more functionable or to make the things more, or you can say like you want more features in your particular operating system. So kernel modules are like a piece of code or like a piece of program files that can be loaded or unloaded, or that can be installed or uninstalled on the kernel without restarting your system. Same as like in the mobile, you can install or uninstall the programs, application, games without restarting your system. Same how the kernel also works. So it's like you are loading, unloading the files or loading, unloading the applications without rebooting your system or without rebooting your machine. Now, .ko. So if you're aware of like there are multiple file extensions like .mp3 or .avi is also there. So these are like file extension. Using file extension, we can guess what type of file is this. Like .mp3 means it's an audio file. Using .mp4 means it's like video file. .avi means it's again a video file. .txt means it's a text file. Same way, .ko is another extension. Using that extension, you can think or you can guess that it's a kernel object file. Now, where these files are located in the operating system, so there is one folder or there is one directory. When I'm giving the practical things, so that time I will show you also. So there is /lib modules, and there is one more another location is usr lib modules. So this is the locations where the kernel object files or the kernel modules are present. Now, as a summary, so your mobile comes without any application, like with the default application. Same way, OS come with default applications. Now, if you want more application, you go to the Play Store or like App Store. Here you are going to the kernel object files. So kernel object file are like increasing the capabilities or the features of kernel. So it will perform more features or it will the kernel will come up with more features that can be do with respect to the system. Here, so you are installing some applications like PUBG. Here I am installing .ko file loaded or unloaded on the like we can load or unload on the kernel. So it is increasing the feature of this kernel. Here it's increasing the feature of the mobile. It's like that. And to interact with the system, there are two ways. One is CLI, one is GUI. That is come with like mouse. That is without mouse, you need to type some commands. And there are multiple features of Linux like multi-user, multitask. Shell will come with Linux. It's like following the hierarchy. File system is like how the files are arranged. So the things are like arranged hierarchy. I will show you this hierarchy in the next video. So that's all about this video. Hope you guys like that video. If you like the video, please hit the like. Make sure to comment your doubts and like please hit the subscribe button. Thank you.